So, now to talk about you a little bit in general, you Catalyst Church. I told him this morning, it's very interesting. Evansville is a rather large, small town, and everybody's kind of in everybody's business. And what I want you to know, when you read Paul's letters, all of Paul's letters start with the same thing. It's a prayer of thanksgiving and a prayer, or not really a prayer, that's not the right word, but praising the church for what it's doing well, as an encouragement, because all of Paul's letters, if you read all of Paul's letters together, he's addressing problems in the church, typically threats to the church from the outside, but he's addressing problems in the church. And I think it's valuable for Christians to, I think sometimes we have an exaggerated fear of pride, to the extent that Christians sometimes struggle to tell other Christians that they're doing a good job, and churches sometimes struggle to tell other churches they're doing a good job, because there's a numbers game aspect to this, right? Because if there's not people in the pews, then there may not be money coming in, and we may not be able to sustain what we're doing. But I want to talk to you just for a second before I get into God's word about what people are saying about you, which may be disconcerting. People know what you're doing. I have never seen as active a church as this church is. And hopefully I'll explain this well and you hear what I'm saying. I love the fact, every once in a while I'll drive by and I kind of spy on Dave and see what he's doing. And it's amazing to me that almost never, I won't say always because that might be unfair, almost never is there a time when there's not people at this church doing something. And to you, it might be just sweeping the floor or straightening chairs, or whatever it might be. Sometimes we think that taking out the garbage is not as important as preaching a sermon, but understand if the church is stinky because of piles of garbage, it's going to be hard to focus on the service, right? There's always people here doing stuff. You are out in the community more than any church I've ever seen. There's, again, understand what I'm saying. There's almost a Mormon aspect to your missionary work. You guys are beyond dedicated to it, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the fact that, in October, there's a food booth down on Franklin Street that's doing more than just, selling pork fritters or whatever it might be. And I also want you to understand that people that don't have a direct connection to you know what you're doing. Our church is ministering to another person that's planting a church in Evansville, out on the east side, and this guy's from Bloomington, and I'm not real sure how we got on the topic of you all and Dave and his family, but this church planter from Bloomington knows who you are and knows what you do. He said the same thing. He goes, that's the church that's always out doing stuff. And, that's not a terribly detailed thing, but people are seeing what you're doing. And I want to encourage you to know that if people are seeing what you're doing and noticing it, then the Lord is